Welcome, everybody, to the Closer to the Edge podcast, the anti-sleep aid for anyone sick of political self-censoring and hushed tones on the left-wing podcast at a time when we need to be loud. We're here to kick down the goddamn door with a bullhorn duct taped to a chainsaw, giving a megaphone to fighters and dissenters.
So buckle the fuck up.
Like my internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your internet connection is cutting out. Look at you. You got to get out the cave, man. You're on the ocean. That's the problem. Yeah. You're in the ocean.
The signal's not the best out here, and I apologize. Yeah, I always enjoy deep sea fishing, and we're just finding some spots out here. It helps to get away and ease your mind. Just to be out here on the ocean.
Well, I got something for you. Today, listeners, you guys know that usually we start off, we do a little banter, we talk about the news, or we talk about what's going on with ourselves. I got something a little different for you guys. We're going to watch a video that I just made, and it's important. This one is a message that I think everybody needs to hear. So I want you guys to listen to this, watch this, and yeah.
Знищуємо московитів з повітря. Наразі потребуємо пікап для відновлення бойових завдань.
Слава Україні! Героям слава!
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And yeah, I'm still waiting on those Epstein files. So no, don't let this story distract us from the fact that we haven't seen anything yet. On the other hand, this is the Resistance channel. When I went down to DC, maybe I'll show some clips here. We walked peacefully into the offices of Congress, into the halls of the House, and spoke to people, spoke to secretaries mostly because all of the actual lawmakers had run away, had gone on vacation, even though they've only worked 15 days in the past 6 months. But we walked there. We walked there by the hundreds. And by the second day of the protest, I gave a speech along with Big Sarge and a lot of other people, ex-military, veterans, as well as just regular civilians who care about this country. And we were resisting on the last day, the 22nd. It was thousands, tens of thousands around the reflection pool at the Lincoln Monument. And it was amazing to see those people there. We were resisting our own tyranny. But there's resistance and there's resistance. You see, while we're bombing defenseless boat that may or not be full of whatever cargo, we will never know, contradictory to international law and law of war. While we're trying to start wars everywhere else, we're resisting from within. The real people out there showing what resistance looks like when it gets that far, they're in Ukraine. We used to be that beacon. It was a form of soft power and hard power for us. We've gotten rid of the U.S. aid. We've gotten rid of everything that we used to remind the world that we were the good guys. And now we've actively, let's just be honest, on the side of the bad guys, of the authoritarian, of the invaders. Before we start our own war in Venezuela, before we send ground troops over there, I want to remind you why we're resisting. This Christmas, I've decided to help the soldiers in Ukraine. But I'm going to need your help to do it, people. When others have tanks and millions of dollars worth of equipment, they turn simple drones and simple trucks into a resistance force that's still fighting 3 years later when they were supposed to be gone, down and out, wiped off the face of the earth in 3 weeks. As the Resistance channel, I feel like it is my duty to support the resistance wherever it may be. So yeah, I've partnered with this group. Let me show it to you. This is Car for Ukraine. It's a Ukrainian volunteer NGO in Lviv. It buys secondhand pickups in the UK and Europe, ships them to Ukraine, and puts steel armor on them before gifting them to fighting units, like the ones you saw in the beginning. It has a long track record of high degree of transparency, accountability, and effectiveness. It's our goal to fundraise and pick up trucks or large drone transporters for the euro 11,000 euros, which is about $12,500. This Christmas, Tree Trucks Initiative will combine many international YouTube channels like myself, which they have, and I said yes, because I know that my resistors out there, people who watch this, are the type of people that may want to help, are the type of people that you can rely on. And I know that firsthand, because we've been able to. The time frame for this is going to be 8 to 12 weeks, YouTube. So you can give some now, some later, right? But it's mainly for Christmas. It's the same way that we provide mutual aid for each other. The same way we grow a resistance community is the same way you can help them. A little now, a little later, and a little more even later on. 8 to 12 weeks. But there's something else.
Music a bubble.
I see we've been joined by Jordan from Off Jawaggon. How are you, sir?
Good. It was quite the pitch I rolled into here.
Yeah, man. So you came early. Usually we do the introduction without you, so we can talk shit first, and then
I believe in being punctual. You're a scheduling person too. I asked her to ping me an hour beforehand because I'm really good at forgetting about shit like this.
Yeah.
And she pinged me in an hour. I wasn't paying attention, and then it was like every 15 minutes at random times she kept pinging me. I was like, shit, I should get down there and get going. So
there you go. Yeah, because she understands how I am. So well, thank you for coming. Let me just I'm gonna finish this. This was our little intro. Rook.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, Jordan.
yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Listen, I wanted to show you that video to make sure that we are doing what we can to help others when we can. And if you have an extra buck or two, or if you have a heart for the people down there that our government seems to have forgotten, now that we are, straight up just Russian backers, authoritarian, now that we're the bad guy, maybe it'd do us some good to show a few people out there that there still are some good guys left that are fighting back. I'll leave that link in the description. Go through it and let's help them out over there. Now, as I said, we've been joined by Jordan from Off Jawaggon, and I just want to start with, man, I love your content. I saw you down there, DC, and I was like, oh shit, is that? What's his name again? Is that? And I had to go back and watch it again. It's like, oh, Jawaggon, that's right. But I only saw it on YouTube. And now I see that you also have, your TikTok game is ridiculous. I didn't even know. Yeah.
Funny how we get siloed as content creators into like one platform, and we think that just every other content creator exists on that one platform. And yeah, it's been eye-opening. Kind of doing this community building with content creators, and it's like people who have a tiny following on one platform, just absolutely massive on another one. I never even think to check for them on.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. Well, I was astonished, and I just want to introduce you to our folks here on YouTube, to the Closer to the Edge folks on Substack. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how did you get here, and why you're doing this, man.
Yeah. I don't know how I got here. A few years ago, my wife got on TikTok, just watching videos, and I'm a grumpy old man at heart. I get dragged kicking and screaming onto every new social media platform. So it's ironic now that I am a professional content creator. But she was getting all these videos and she wanted to show them to me, and I'm like, I'm not downloading the kids dance app, fuck that. And so she was getting really, really annoyed that she'd have to like give me her phone while I just watched all these videos she'd already seen. So finally she put TikTok on my phone so she could just send them to me. And then one day we were out at the bar at Applebee's of all places, and on the wall they had that We ID sign, and it just like hit me that in a few months from that particular day, kids who weren't alive for 9/11 were going to be able to sit at the bar and drink with me, and I just felt like instantly ancient, like old as hell. So I needed to commiserate that feeling with other people, and so I made a video about that specifically, and it blew up. Mostly because I used like a line early on, and it's like, "What makes you feel ancient?" And everybody just stitched it and went on with their own video.
Yeah.
Well, it was like 10,000 followers overnight, and I was like, "Oh, that was unexpected." And I was like, "Well, cool.
That's
I live in a
awesome.
very rural red place." So I was like, "Well, I'm gonna avoid getting political because I don't want to rock the boat in my little hometown." And that lasted until the next video when somebody comes out and they're like, "Kids today, what makes me feel old is kids today just don't want to work. They're lazy and shit." And I was like, okay, here we go.
And something boiled up inside.
Yeah. So that's how that got started. I made a video response to that. That one blew up. And then, and then I was the political guy in the pasture with high vis on, and it just kind of became a shtick. And I was like, I guess I'll ride it out as long as I can and use a little bit of a platform that I've been given to mitigate some of the white privilege I've been fortunate enough to receive in my life. And it's still going and still growing somehow. So I'm still riding it out as long as I can and saying yes to every opportunity I hope I can do to make a little bit of a difference in this fight that we're all in.
What was Washington, D.C. like for you?
Oh, it was awesome. I've been to Washington D.C. a couple times, but this was the first, work trip, so to speak. And I was out there for 2 weeks actually. I went with Back 40 Action on a campaign we called Save the Heartland from the Heartless, and it was quote unquote nonpartisan because it's a C4, so it wasn't partisan advocacy. It was just advocacy for rural policy regarding healthcare, education, and farm policy. So it was really cool to be a part of that. It was a huge learning experience. That portion of the pack with Will Westmoreland, if you're familiar with his work at all or not, but it was his first time doing a advocacy trip kind of like that. So it was a lot of a learning curve, and it was really cool to just roll that in then to remove the regime and being a part of a big protest like that. It was amazing getting to meet people like Douglas here and just tons of great content creators. Absolutely one of those moments where you're like, I don't know, I feel like I'm out of place. Like, how did they let me into this room with all these amazing people that have been
Kidding me?
fans of all these years, So no, it was a super cool experience. And I hope we do more stuff kind of like that.
Well, let me tell you what, man. It is not it's not some unknown thing to me. It's not weird to me that you got 10,000 off the bat, because you're hilarious, bro.
Oh, I appreciate it.
You're freaking hilarious. So I'm sure whatever it was that you said, it wasn't just what I hate about getting old or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That thing that you have, you're a freaking comedian, man. So I'm glad that your wife put that on there, except for the fact that TikTok probably now has your phone infested, and now that you're a freedom fighter, they're looking at you, man.
Man, I'm on. If I'm not on a dozen lists in there in federal buildings, I'm doing something wrong at this point. And
Exactly.
I guess that's the thing about being an open book. If we're sitting here and speaking up, then that means that if the right people are hearing you, the wrong people are hearing you too, and it's par for the course, But again, very male colored, and that makes me being on the front a little less risky than people like yourself and a lot of other people who are out here being brave and putting their voices out there. So
Yeah,
Has life changed in your small town? Since you've gotten more political over the years?
No, actually, it was surprising. People, for the most part, just shut the fuck up about it, and I've noticed. I think that it's people understand that most of their opinions are just based on whatever Facebook meme they allow to think for them, and anybody who has anything to back that up on is not a conversation they really want to have. You know, most of these people aren't that politically engaged in the first place. I haven't lost any friends over it, surprisingly. I haven't had any awkward moments because of it. It's, you know, there's been a few conversations over drinks that have gotten a little more heated because when people do decide to talk politics, I'm the political guy, I guess. But no, it's been relatively well received, I would say, all things considered. My nervousness was for naught.
But that was my first thought when he asked that question was, there's nobody who wants to go toe to toe about this shit with you. Like, what are you, majored in microeconomics?
No. I double majored in business and psych, but I took a bunch of all the economics courses that my college had to offer. I took on top of that. But no, I don't want anybody to think I'm an economist or anything. I have no special education credentials that qualify me for anything. I just hate being wrong, and so I spend a lot of time researching things that I'm interested in.
Good and decent people of YouTube, did you hear that? That's the only thing. People will call you elite because you say, can you cite the source? Where did you get that from? And they expect you, like, why are you asking me that? Well, it's not a challenge. It's the first question you ask, dumbass. Where did you get it from? That's all I'm trying to find out. And I have a feeling that anybody who may have had that problem with you, or anybody around you who may have said, I don't like that you said this or that, the minute that they went past that, found themselves not able to speak. And this is the difference right now, I think, of this lashing out. I want to know what you think about that. The lashing out that we see is it's a way to prove to myself that I'd never needed an education. Look at Trump. Everybody who thinks they knew so much, it made me feel so dumb my whole life because I didn't like politics. I didn't watch politics. And it could be mainly because I didn't understand it. But when he speaks, I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you can count to 3, you understand Trump. And
I don't know. I don't understand half the shit that comes out of that man.
I don't because it's slurred. But more importantly, and you're too, you're distracted by his orangeness and everything else. But anyway,
the hand movements,
I can't.
whole mouth, the neck giant. I feel like something should be blurred out on his face every time he comes on screen. I'm like, this has got to be violating some decency clause in his new FCC rules.
It's that gross porn. Like, that's not even the stuff that you can just type up and click. But yeah, so this is my thing. What do you think about that idea? The reason why this backlash happened, the reason why these folks are so ingrained and how they became radicalized was a response to education, a response to their lack of education, and they're feeling stupid by having to listen to people smarter than them, so they tuned out. And this person was the first person who made them feel like they too could be.
Yeah. I guess, how deep into this conversation do you?
We can go forever.
We can go.
Let's go.
So I think, yes, on face value, you're absolutely right. Nobody wants to feel inferior to anybody else, right? Nobody wants to feel less than, and so. This is the same reason why racism has been such a successful tool in our country, is if you could convince the lowest white dude that he is superior to the highest black man, then, he's going to vote against his own self-interest to keep that sense of superiority. It's a very real quote. It's a very good quote, very relevant quote. And I think that it applies more broadly. And so, yeah, when you can convince people that their ignorance is as valid as our education, that makes them feel like they are, less inferior. If you can feel like they're in the in club because they know the secret about vaccines that they saw in some shitty YouTube video from somebody's basement, then they're smarter than the Faucis of the world. But it goes back to a point. There wasn't always this divide between the educated and blue collar workers. They used to be very much allies, because generally, especially like college campus professors, students, a lot of those came from working class backgrounds. You know, there's not very many wealthy professors out there and things like that. And those were the people who understood the mechanics of how the world worked. And then you had the blue collar workers who were the muscle and the numbers behind how our country functions, and they made a really good team. And Nixon actually systematically tore those two things apart and drove a wedge in them over the Vietnam War. But because Nixon saw that there was a deep sense of patriotism when it came to our war efforts in Vietnam, and obviously the intellectual side of the country was not on board with the actions that we were taking in Vietnam. And this really came down to the fact that obviously a lot of poor blue collar people got drafted. A lot of kids in college avoided the draft because they were in college. And he used that to drive the divide between the intellectual communities and the blue collar communities, and tied the blue collar community to identity politics around, you know, hoorah patriotism. And if you were against that, then you were against the soldiers who were dying over there. You were against all their friends and sons and brothers and all those people who didn't have a choice and they had to go. And that made, you know, the intellectuals the enemy. There was the hard hat riots about it. It was loosely tied to Nixon's Southern strategy. And so it wasn't always this way, and it doesn't need to be this way, but that it was by design that it is that way, and it has been expertly exploited by the right for decades, and the left absolutely sucks at messaging and combating any of that. So they've just kind of let it happen, and here we are now.
That's a damn good explanation. That I've never heard put that way, and it's so deep, so nuanced. Many times when you hear about this divide, or you hear about, you know, what Nixon did, you're talking about the Southern strategy. You think it's a just race, but we all know here, and hopefully out there, you guys, class is really what's been used, right? And race has been the tool to help them do it. But class is really what's been used. And I've never heard it explained like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and for anybody who wants to look up the hard hat riots. Nixon actually, so there was this riot between blue collar, I think they're steel workers, construction workers, basically attacked anti-war protesters, most of which were college students. The police sided with the construction workers who were attacking them because, you know, cops are going to cop. And then Nixon actually brought the people who incited that riot to the White House, gave them, or they gave him a ceremonial hard hat. Like, it was a whole thing. When I say this was orchestrated, Nixon saw the moment where there was some of that division coming, and they put that together. And that's all documented. You can look up the hard hat riots and read all about it. It's unfortunately a very overlooked part of our history in that time period.
Have you noticed MAGA lashing out more lately on your different platforms than usual, or what have you seen?
No, less actually. Especially since kind of the walls are crumbling around the Epstein thing. You know, the fact that we've got Trump blowing Bubba is now a thing that we can come back with all the time, and they really don't know how to respond to it. You know, and just economically, I mean, you can only gaslight yourself and the other people around you so much before it's like, yeah, shit's not cheaper. Like, housing isn't cheaper. Gas really isn't that much cheaper. And honestly, gas prices going down is an indication of an economy that is failing. So gas prices going down too much is a bad thing too. The tariffs obviously aren't helping. Job numbers are so bad, they're just not reporting them anymore. Like, economic numbers are so bad, you just let's not talk about them.
They fired the reporters. They fired the people to report them.
So we're getting to that point where they're running out of ammunition to talk about, and then I think it's being outed that so many of these were just bot accounts and foreign accounts and stuff like that, and so they're struggling to be taken seriously even when they are real people.
Yeah, lots of laugh reactions. Like they're sometimes we just let those comments stand because they just make so many people laugh.
I never curate the comments. It's got to be pretty bad for me to delete or block a comment. Otherwise, it's like, hey, it's free engagement, and if you want to embarrass yourself by either being ignored or by being ratioed to hell, by all means, please, please do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Please out yourself. Please identify yourself. I put a little bug zapper in my comments, you know, so that they can just fly in there and just, you know, zap them. So
Hell, half the time, if it's bad enough, like when they DM me and stuff too, I'll just take screenshots of them and post them.
What's the weirdest message you've ever received, either from a fan or an anti-fan?
Ooh, I mean, I've had some pretty nasty death threats, a lot of misspelled death threats. Uh, yeah, the weirdest. I seem to be very popular with older women and gay men. And so, like, I've gotten a lot of interesting propositions in my comments that I probably can't say on here, but it's
outstanding.
Yeah. So that's probably the weirdest. I don't know. I had some groiper who I did a video about who made some very colorful death threats that actually included a number that he was under the impression was my house number, and so that was probably the worst one I've gotten so far. But I mean, it had some racist language, some sexual innuendos, and basically suggested that they were going to find me hanging in a tree because I spoke out against something racist at the time, and that apparently offended him.
Yeah, the threat of violence usually comes only because you have nothing else, right? There's no response, and you just, again, it's that internalized stupidity and ignorance.
I did have a guy who was a fan who wanted to pay me to do like kink shame humiliation stuff, like just talk bad to him, like.
This is a MAGA person?
No. This was
a fan.
Oh, this is a fan. Okay.
And I mean, whatever. And like, I'm not here to kink shame anybody. And like, it wasn't. I mean, I guess I'm flattered. It's just like I can't bring myself to do that for a few reasons. It seems weird to me. You know, to talk badly to somebody who doesn't deserve it, and then I'm just like, I can just see this, like, I'm going to use some like homophobic slur or something because that's what they want to be called, and then that'll get taken out of context and released, and I'll be, canceled or something. I was like, yeah, no, it ain't worth the money.
No, that's crazy. That's weird. You should have started with that. You should have started with that shit.
I don't know. I had some lady who wanted to be a mistress, like a BDSM mistress for me or something.
Well, wait a minute now. Hold on now. Wait a minute now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not that bad. I mean,
no. Yeah,
that's quite a spectrum that you've had to deal with there, from death threats to
just sex threats, I guess.
To sex threats.
I am a man. I'm not a piece of meat. Take me seriously. Well, speaking of the bots, right? Let's get to this platform talk, because now that I know that you are freaking a TikTok giant, right? Here I was thinking that you were really good on YouTube, and then seeing that TikTok is like, how many thousand? I mean, it was just
700,000.
Oh, fucking hey, bro.
Wowza.
Yeah. So seeing that, how much did your asshole clench up when you heard that TikTok was going away? All right. How did this whole thing affect you?
Yeah, definitely the first few times, a lot. I'm gonna tell you, that day we woke up and TikTok was gone for a few hours was a bad day for me, for sure. And now it's become one of those things where it's like, when you're dating that one toxic person who always says that they're leaving and they never actually leave. That's kind of what it feels like. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, go away.
Yeah, I'll be here when you get back.
The thing that's frustrating is, TikTok's a significant portion of my income. And do you do this full time, the content creation thing?
Well, he does it full time. I do a part time, but I'm transitioning. Yeah.
We typically write articles. That's why you see me as an avatar. So, because I'm not very video friendly.
This guy.
But we write articles, and you guys, there's plenty of good looking people like both of you to be out there, Giving people.
You were the guy in that comment section, weren't you? Just admit it.
That was fucking you, bro.
I mean, we have some fake accounts, and we get out there and we talk to some people.
So I guess like the thing that's the hardest for me to like reconcile with, I guess, is TikTok is far and away my biggest platform. Then it's like 120,000 on Facebook, which doesn't pay me hardly anything at this point. Like, and then YouTube and Instagram are right around the same size platform.
Yeah.
So YouTube and TikTok, as far as like video views go, are the majority of my income. That consistent monthly income. But beyond that 700,000 number at the top of the screen on TikTok gets me a lot of access and opportunities I wouldn't have otherwise. Like, being involved with the Remove the Regime stuff. I get to work with some Senate campaigns. I get to do a lot of really cool stuff. I get a lot of amazing people on my podcast because of that access and notability. And so like losing that would be, I think, the hardest thing. I'm trying to grow other platforms to kind of supplant that, but at this point, it's you spend years of your life building a platform like that in a community, and then you run into the reality of it could just be gone tomorrow, poof, and so much of what you've built is just gone, and the opportunities that come with a platform like that being gone as well is a hard thing to reconcile. So
yeah, it shows the importance in diversifying platforms that you're on, and because you never know, when one of them is just gonna disappear or ban you or delete your account. Or
I got banned at the beginning of when we were there in DC the first couple weeks, or the second day I was in DC. My account got banned, appeal denied, and then enough harassing and knowing the right people, and thankfully got it back. But again, yeah, you never know. You wake up one day and your account's gone, and I've had that happen to me a few times.
That happened to you a few times, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So was it hard to get back that number? Because one of my other favorite people, the bartender, the pissed off bartender.
Buddies, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I seem like that type of comedy seems like it's hand in hand.
The Venn diagram of Andy and Mai's audience is like a perfect circle.
Yeah. So, yeah, he got kicked off, and so I don't remember if it was off TikTok, but I remember it was off YouTube.
He got kicked off of both. He's lost both accounts for different reasons. His account on YouTube got hacked, and so they're just like, we're getting rid of it altogether, and wouldn't give it back to him for some reason. So, and I know he just recently got banned on TikTok, and I should check. I don't know if he got it back yet or not, but I put him in touch with some people.
What the hell is that like, getting back to 700,000?
Well, if you get your account back, so I'm still on my original account. So like as soon as the account comes back, everybody's still there. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of creators who haven't gotten it back and have had to rebuild. And thankfully, when you've got enough notoriety, because you've been doing it long enough and you've got enough of a community and an audience, you can definitely replace a lot of that fairly quickly. But you never get it all back right away. There's rebuilding new is never as good as, working with the platform you've already had.
I would suspect that ever since TikTok, what's it, Twitter? I don't call it the other thing. It still says Twitter in the URL.
Twitter, OnlyClans.
You're right. There we go. I'll take that. I'll definitely think that I've seen in my own, media space, that since that outing came, there was a shift. Like, they were already not talking and not botting as much. Since that, like, I think, where normally I would get 10, 15 a day on any comment, on anything I do, I think I've gotten 3 since, maybe 4 since. Have you seen a change in normal human being people? Or have you just, are you feeling the same thing I'm feeling, like something about that broke them? Or further broke them? I
definitely think that. I think that I think a lot of the newness is wearing off of, we won, and now you're realizing that you've got to deal with the consequences of what you voted for, and it's not all of the winning you were promised. It's not all of the owning the libs that you were promised, and now suddenly, your prices are still going up. And in conjunction with that, a lot of the people, because what's been our problem on the left for a long time is we've been too polite,
Yeah.
keep our mouth shut, and we're getting less and less polite, and we've got more and more ground to stand on about like standing up to people, and I think that that's important for what people like us do, is making sure that there's voices out there that they know that they're not alone in the way that they're feeling, and it's okay to speak up because it's not all the purple haired basement dwelling, gender fluid, women's studies major, whatever caricature they try to build up of the liberal in their heads that they rail against, and so people feel that they've got that community, they've got that backing, and they're feeling more emboldened to just be open about the fact that they don't support this regime, this bullshit, and and I think that it's a compounding of effect where their little safe space group of mega cultists who are just happy to be in the club and be included because they've got no fucking friends. And all they had to do was put on a red hat, and suddenly they're in a club, and that club is falling apart now. People want to be less and less associated with it. The reality of the fact that Donald Trump is not some amazing leader who is going to lead this country to greatness, and in fact he's crashing the economy, he's tearing communities apart, he's causing healthcare centers, especially in rural America. A lot of our healthcare clinics are closing now because of the Medicaid cuts. Our prices are going up. Our access is going down. All of those are real parts of their lived experience, and it's not just this concept of what MAGA is anymore. It's harder to defend that. And then when you're getting piled on by everybody who's like, fucking told you so, it makes you want to shut your fucking mouth a little bit more. And good. They need to crawl back under their goddamn rocks.
Yeah, and shame is a powerful motivator. And sometimes the only way to deal with the bullies is to stand up to the bully and just, and like you said, they're just in the tail between their legs maybe stage right now, like for a lot of them. Some are still, bark and bark, 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 and they always will, but there's a lot of them that are hanging there, maybe just kind of like you said, going into cricket mode and not being so mouthy anymore. What does this guy have? The lowest presidential approval rating of all time?
No, well, since his last presidential.
Since his last time.
Right. Which is what fucking kills me, because you voted for him again. Like, it's always. What were you thinking? Anyway, listen, we got a lot to talk about that, because you also, we can move on to that. Before I get to that, I want to talk about rural communities. I want to talk about you. Are you still in Minnesota, or did you stay where? Okay, you from the South to Minnesota and back again. I mean, from Minnesota to the South and back again. We're gonna talk about all of that, and you still are on a farm, so I'm guessing you're still in the agricultural industry.
So like, my family had a dairy farm for years and years and years, and that went under during the Reagan administration, during the first farm crisis. And so I have acreage. I've got a little bit of tillable land that's rented out for row crop stuff. And then, I've got my horses, which are basically pets, pasture ornaments. And then my father has an excavating company, and I grew up more doing contracting and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I still have tilled land here. So I live on a farm technically, as far as the government's concerned. But I wouldn't want to.
You're such a really big studio.
Claim being a farmer, because definitely it takes a lot more than what I do in my mind, to be considered a true farmer.
Is there snow on the ground right now in Minnesota? You guys got snow?
Yeah, we got 5-6 inches on the ground now. So.
Wow, nice. So I want to get back to. Before I get into that, and maybe get disrespectful, I want to talk about this thing I see in you. And the word you said was polite, right? So polite is the best way to say it. That we're no longer being polite. You seem to make it a point, and everything I've seen from you, or at least you always go back to it, that it's not you, it's them, right? It's not you, red hat guy. It's look up. It's them. How do you reconcile that? Like, now we're not as polite. I would say now we're pissed off, and we're getting fucking pretty rude. And if I, like, someone came to my house the other day, a brand new person moved into the community, and they were like, "Hey, well, we're doing a bonfire," and they're white because only white folks do that shit. But the fact they had the balls to go around the neighborhood and be like, "Hey, I'm introducing myself," and the first thing I said was, "Ain't gonna be no Trump supporters there, are there?" And then everybody laughed, and it's like, okay, well, good, that's it. But it wasn't a joke. Like, I'm aggressive now. Like, I'm not. There's not. I'm confrontational. How do you reconcile that impoliteness with the trying to keep on the message of
right? I think so. Here, obviously, I do a lot of like response content where I will dismantle a person who decides to run their mouth on the internet, in favor of the fascists. And I think like a lot of people do that kind of content for clickbait, and it's directed at that person as a person, right? And for me, that person is an example of I always pick people who have put out some talking point that I think needs to be addressed, or they're making some sort of stereotype that needs to be addressed, and I'm just using them as an engaging way to dispel that stereotype of the welfare queen, or trickle down economics, or whatever it's going to be. Republicans being good for the economy. I don't know how anybody ever believed that one, but
I mean, it's only been 40 years of a test.
It's gonna trickle all over our faces any day, guys. Just wait. It's trickling down. Yeah.
And you're turning around, open your mouth. I just don't understand it.
So ultimately, it's like, if you are a lapdog for the fascists and the billionaires and our oppressors, I've got no time for you. And so, like, you're not my enemy in a class war scale, but you are aiding and abetting the enemy, and therefore I'm going to treat you like that. And as soon as you want to come over here and realize that, they are your enemy and we're not, then that's fine. And you can join the fight and, pick up the torches and pitchforks, and we can go to town. But until then, that's how it's reconciled, is you are going to be made an example of if you are, still on the Trump train, so to speak. If you're still bootlicking for the fascists, because you doing that is actively hurting the 99% of us who are trying to fight for your rights and your economic stability as well as ours. Like, and that's the thing, is like, I want to drag you kicking and screaming up the ladder with us, and I'm not looking to keep anybody down, even if they are dumbasses who still support this. I'm just not going to coddle you in that time.
How do you feel about the content creators that are responding to content? I see it with some people where they'll feature a MAGA supporter who now is having second thoughts, and then they almost celebrate it. And I think I understand. I mean, what are your thoughts on, I don't know, when these people do convert, or they do finally wake up because you've helped them wake up? What I see these different approaches where sometimes it's just like, well, you shouldn't have voted that way. It's, too bad on you. Sounds like you take a different approach.
Yeah. I guess where I'm at with this is, we have a very clear enemy that we need to be putting our energy into fighting. And if somebody has seen the light and is willing to fight for the same common goal as the rest of us, you are no longer anybody I need to worry about. I'm not going to pat you on the back for not being a fascist, but, you're welcome to join us in this fight at that point. I don't think that it needs to be celebrated. I think that it just continues. We need to continually shame the people who haven't made that jump, because it's pretty fucking shameful if you've gotten to this point in America the way things are today and you haven't left behind those ideals. I mean, that's shameful, and you don't get a pat on the back for just not being a shitty person. You shouldn't do that. And 99% of the time when these people do it, it's because it has specifically affected them, and that's hollow. I mean, it's like, okay, cool. Now that it hurts you, that's great. I'm glad you're back on the right side of things, or kind of on the right side of things. But had it not ever negatively affected your life, you would still be there making sure that it was negatively affecting a bunch of other people's lives. And again, I'm not going to sit here and turn you away from the fight. We need every hand on deck that we can get, but you're not going to get a pat on the back from me. I don't think you deserve
No
it.
sticker? No sticker?
No sticker, no cookie.
Oh.
Am I a bad person because I've gotten 2 people fired off of that so far, and I only go after the egregious ones in my mind. And I don't do it for an altruistic reason other than to get them fired. Is I bad for that? I want them to feel pain and agony.
And they absolutely should. No. Like, so here's the thing: is I mean, I've doxed a number of people to varying levels, and to me, it's the internet, and actions have repercussions. I'm fully aware that I am on the internet. People have tried to dox me in the past. Most of them are too stupid to do it successfully, but they certainly try. Obviously, we saw with the Charlie Kirk thing, they went on a whole doxing rampage to try to get people fired because they didn't feel bad enough about a dead podcaster who was turned into a Pez dispenser, and I don't feel bad for when they have those repercussions of their actions. I don't think that it's an incredibly useful or incredibly efficient use of our time to go after each individual asshole on the internet. But if they're doing something egregiously harmful to people, if they are harming minority communities, trans people, if they are actively going out of their way to make other people's lives worse, that stuff can have really serious consequences. People commit suicide over the actions that these people take on a not uncommon basis. So in those types of situations, 100%, it's make them feel the consequences of their actions, and hopefully next time they will think twice before being a bully to people who they've got to punch down on to feel better about them.
I'd like to know, and it feels good. That's why I do it.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. It's righteous indignation. Yeah,
it's good.
Well, yeah, and you're talking about that dopamine, right? Like it's a dopamine thing, and I think a lot of this, even going back to what you said earlier about like classism or feeling better about this group of people, or feeling good, and now not feeling good for MAGA, like the tail between the legs and less dopamine, and like. I think there's a strange component when it comes to, I don't know, politics sometimes, and what shit posting on the internet, if that creates like there's dopamine hits and people getting addicted to their screens, and arguing with bots. But yeah, I'd love to hear either your thoughts on the whole brain chemistry side of what we do.
Yeah, no, it's very addictive. Obviously, especially I'm sure with you guys doing content and stuff like that, the highs of when a video does really well, and the lows of when a video you wanted to do well doesn't do well, and no, it definitely, especially if you can't figure out how to manage that part of your life, doing this for a living, especially, can get very toxic. And I think a lot of people fall into that on the internet. I mean, I know before I was doing this, I would get sucked into, Facebook arguments where I'd have paragraph upon paragraph of shit nobody was ever going to read. And I would waste so many hours of my life typing out something that somebody was probably too illiterate to read at all, and this was back before bots were really a thing, so it was still real people, but the fuck, and nobody else was going to read it, and but you get sucked into that, and then the bots have made that worse, and the people who run these platforms, they know this. I mean, Meta has been caught multiple times, tweaking their algorithm to exploit especially young people in that dopamine hit of interactions, and it's caused serious mental health issues for children, especially young girls with body issues, and it causes, especially when we're getting into a society that is the wealth gap is wider and wider every day, and the majority of us are on the wrong side of that wealth gap. And then you see everybody putting their best foot forward on the internet and looking like they're financially successful and they're super happy, and you're like, I don't have any of that, I don't feel that way. And so yeah, there's all kinds of things that are bad about that, and it's hard to say what the solution is, but we definitely need some regulation when it comes to the way that these apps are managed.
Regulation is
And I don't
key.
know if I was MAGA and I'm sitting out there and I type libtard into the comment section, I just don't know. Like, do they get a dopamine hit off that, or like where
They've been. Do you remember when you were a kid and like you heard a joke, like there was some joke that like just was taken off that everybody thought was funny, or some comeback that they were using, like your mom or something like that, that type of thing, and you started using it all the time too because you kind of got that feel, and then you like overuse it. But to you, it seemed like the funniest thing in the world, even when it got super old, because the group that you were around like
Still
fed
loves
into
it.
that, right?
Yeah.
That's MAGA with their stupid jokes like libtard and all the dumb shit that they say is like they just feed that off of each other. They're saying it for themselves, not for us. They probably think it's offensive to us, maybe, I don't know. But like, when was the last time anybody in MAGA actually said something to one of us that we found personally offensive?
Yeah, that stopped a long time ago. I mean, it has, and you're 100% right. You realize that they're doing it to like be part of their same club. Like they say it to each other. It's all over X, TikTok, no, Twitter. Excuse me. And they they're like, oh, you said it. Oh, you said it. Oh, you said it. And so now what happens is it ratchets up. So now they start that. Now it's the N word. Like you have to be able to say that. And now you say it to an autistic 8-year-old black boy, and we'll give you $100,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, that was so fucked up.
Like,
that was in my state. I was pissed me off.
And that type of thing is the dangerous. Why I like to get them fired. But
no, 100%. That's totally valid, and absolutely they need some repercussions.
On the other side, living where you live, I'm sure there's other farmers there. And we're hearing a lot about these repercussions, or as Rook said, the whole FAFO stuff. No matter whether you're laughing at it or pointing it out as a point of data point to understand where we're going. What's it like? Real life farmers, people who are in that industry, help us out.
Yeah, no, they're definitely struggling. Farmers in general, like family farms in general, have been struggling for decades. And most family farmers work another job as it is to support their farming habit, basically, at this point. And you're never more than a bad season or two away from, bankruptcy or financial devastation. And unfortunately, this is a bad season made by our own government. And it's
I heard
interesting.
Like some yields were super big and people have nothing to sell them to.
Yeah. I mean, that's the huge thing is there's a lot of things that have built up to this, and this system was crumbling long before these tariffs. And these tariffs are just, the final nail in the coffin, unfortunately, because we should have never gone into mono row crop agricultural systems. Corn and soy to sell to China was basically what our entire agricultural community has been based off of, or our agricultural industry has been based off of for decades. And that's not smart, because then again, something like this happens and we lose out on our biggest market, and you just can't float that. See, and this is where it's difficult for me, where I really struggle a lot with the empathy, sympathy, and we fucking told you so moments on everything. Partially because I come from an agricultural family who lost their farm the last time this shit was happening, and I understand the pain that kind of goes along with that. I'm surrounded by, what's left of the family farms in this area, and they're by and large, good people. This is the community that I've been around, and they're here for you, and stuff like that. And so it humanizes them for me in a way that I don't think it's very easy to be like, they fucking voted for this when you don't live around them. And that's the same with any kind of community. As soon as you humanize somebody, the politics muddy the water a lot more than it just being cut and dry. But beyond that, it's the repercussions that they are facing that have that ripple effect that hurts everybody else down the road too, right? Like, the foundation of our country is based on agriculture, and the food we eat and the affordability and accessibility of that food really hinges on the existence of the family farm, because big corporate farms are poisoning us. They are looking to squeeze every last dollar out of consumers, and people die without food. We already have food deserts. We already have a lack of access to healthy, nutritious food, and this is making that worse. And so, a farmer who voted for this losing his farm, and you can say, yeah, that's karma, but then the inner city kids that no longer, have access to the food that they were providing, and another corporate farm buying them up and switching over to whatever is going to make them the most money while polluting our environments. And as I'm sure where big factory farms and corporate polluters are often put based on racial demographics is often planned around that. And so, like, there's a lot of fringe and nuance that goes into this, where a lot more people are going to be harmed than just the Trump voting farmer who stupidly voted for this and lost his farm, and it's a lot of people who didn't ask for this and didn't vote for this that are also going to be affected. And it's not something that we can just vote in somebody new and redo it. Once the farms are gone, and without going, Teddy Roosevelt, big stick, breaking up these big corporate farms, it's a one-way trip until we get real radical with how we handle, ag monopolies. And that's unfortunate.
I think that kind of has to be where the direction we go as we close this is, what's next? Because you're 100% right. Unless we get somebody that comes in here, and not somebody, a Congress, a movement, local, state, regional, nationwide, of electing people who are saying, this is done. This type of capitalism. I know you can't just break it all up immediately, because then other people, you'll hurt a lot of people acting like you can just do that. But we need that big stick again. Like, we're breaking things up. We're opening it up to new investments, to new investors. We need the banks to break up, and we need you to loan to certain people, or you have penalties. I think that I don't need to go any more than that. That's just where I think we need to go. You seem to think the same way. Any in context on that?
Yeah, no, it's 100%. And the thing I keep going back to is, like, we talk about this, like, breaking up. Agriculture is one of the biggest monopolies in the world, not even the country, the world. 86% of the beef industry, I think it is. Don't quote me on that specific percent, but it's something right up around there. Is controlled by like 6 companies. Like, meatpacking industry is the same way. The seed industry is up there as well, especially with GMO and Roundup Ready seeds and things like that. And the problem is that we've allowed, there's so much money in it, so much money that we subsidize. It is the most subsidized industry on the planet, agriculture, more so than oil, than energy, more so than anything. That's welfare checks. That's us. That's you and I, our tax dollars, paying for these big corporations to then take that money and lobby our representatives to act in their interest and not ours. And they've done that. They've done that very effectively. And that's why we have these big corporate mega farms. That's why we have these diminishing standards on food health and safety, on environmental safety when it comes to farming. why we do not have. I mean, there's no reason that we should have, only a handful of crops that we grow here in the United States. We should be able to make the food that feeds most of us. Obviously, like avocados and coffee, and there's things that you're always going to have to get from someplace else, but there's a lot that we shouldn't be importing right now that we are, and there's a really sustainable way to do that. That's family farms. That's supporting family farms, and the only way to do that is going to be to break up these monopolies. And it's not radical. The laws are in place. We've done this before. I mean, all of this has been done before. When we act like these are radical leftist communist ideas, it's like, no, bitch, we've been doing this since the 40s. And
we've been doing this since year 10,000 BC. Like, you farm and your community gets to have it. Like, we can do community grocery stores. We can do localized.
And speaking of sustainability in Minnesota, I'm curious because I'm not that familiar with the state. Do you ice fish? Is that a thing that you get into? Okay.
Really?
Do you have?
Well, I should say I drink with a fishing pole in my hand.
Yes.
But, yeah.
The type of ice. What was that? What was that? There was some movie where the two old men ice fishing. Yeah, bro, I love it.
Do you ever create content from your fish house?
I have, yeah, a few times. So yeah, I've got a big, like, we take ice fishing to a different level, I guess, up here. So I have what's called an ice castle. It's basically a camper. It's a tandem axle, 24-foot camper with a slide out, and it's on hydraulics, and it sets down on the ice, and there's holes in the floor.
God damn.
On a lake.
Yeah, on a lake. And yeah, and so it's,
he's so intrigued by that. He's like, on a lake, you mean?
Yes, yep, on a lake. You drive the truck and trailer out there, you set her down, and
It's crazy.
and then so you got a furnace and TV and lights, and then you got, they're called rattle reels. So they mount on the wall, and it's a reel that's got a little bell in it, basically. And when a fish takes it, it'll start rattling. You can go grab the line and pull it up. So you'll put those down, and then you'll sit there and you'll play cards and drink and hang out. And I don't know. The days get short and the winters are real long here, so you got to figure out ways to keep yourself entertained.
Agreed. Wow, man. I'll end it with this. Comedy. You seem like a comedian. You seem like everything from the shots that you take, the cuts you make, how you do it as someone in media. I know it looks like it's just easy, but comedy. You've studied it somehow. Tell me about that. How did you come about that? How did you what makes your comedy bone, bro?
I don't know. I guess I've always been kind of funny, at least in my own mind. And the nice thing about doing it online, like I've had do you know who Trey Crowder is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like back when I was in college, years ago, I can't believe he's been doing it as long as he has, but I was a big fan of him. Was one of the very few like political commentators that I consumed on social media when I was in college. And so that definitely kind of like based, I guess I sort of, I don't want to say based my content off of that, but it was definitely an inspiration for my content early on. And then I'm not nearly as quick-witted as I appear in the videos. The magic of editing helps a lot. But I think it comes a lot from the fact that I want to be, I have really bad ADHD, and videos that hold my attention have to provide more than just some dry, explanation of the point that they're trying to make. And so I made content that I thought I would find entertaining to watch, and that's where it's like, all right, it needs to be something original. I get annoyed when people repeat the same stuff over and over again. It's like, you haven't come up with that. You're not putting effort into, bringing something new and of value. So I really think that's where it comes from, is I want it to be something that people probably haven't heard before. And not all of my stuff's original. I've definitely borrowed stuff from people that I thought was really clever or funny and I thought deserved a repeat. But I try to make the majority of my my lines, something that you're not going to, appear on 10 other people's videos. And so that's really where it comes from. And then to be original, if you're going to go do that, you know, going back to that dopamine hit, if it doesn't land, it's going to hurt. So got to make sure that it's worthy of putting in there. So that's where I think it comes from is, and I think that the humor, we're in a really dark time, and it's a really dark time for a lot of people. And every day we talk about this stuff, it's doom and gloom. And I feel obligated because I have a platform to talk about it, you know, because there's a lot of other stuff that I would love to be talking about that's not the daily dumpster fire that we live in. But right now, it's like I feel I have an obligation and a responsibility with the platform that I've been given to talk about what's currently going on and what's important. And I know that the majority of that is delivered in a very doom and gloom fashion that brings people down. And cutting it with a little bit of humor, I always find makes it easier to digest for me, and I hope it does that for some other people.
Well, and how do you not make fun of these bastards when Pete Hegseth is posting covers of children's books, you know, it's just, some of the headlines yeah, I feel bad for people that write satire sometimes.
Satire's dead. I don't know how you could even write satire at this point.
It's hard. I'm just going to tell you from firsthand experience, it's hard. But we'll keep trying. We'll be okay. And yeah, I really want to thank you for being here tonight and teaching us about just everything.
Freaking smart. Your grasp of history is outstanding. The context is amazing. I love it. I'm so glad you came, man.
Well, I really appreciate that. I felt bad that I didn't make your, I drank a little too much and didn't make your interview when we were in DC together. But next time we're together, I'd love to actually sit down and do something with you in person. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing. It's really important. And, being a part of the group, like seeing you there in DC and everything, that just reaffirms that you're on the right side and everything. And I'm in the right group as well. You know, I love that. So.
Well, it was a pleasure. Yeah, it was a pleasure to meet you in DC, and we didn't get to spend too much time together. So if I ever make it up to your neck of the woods, maybe you can show me what this ice fishing thing's all about.
Absolutely. Both of you are welcome. Anytime you're up here, feel free to hit me up, and I'm happy to take you out.
I'd pay to see that.
Where are you based out of?
Well, I'm in different states, usually physically and emotionally. But so I move around quite a bit. I grew up in the Midwest, but
that accent sounded a little ope there, you know.
Yeah, well, Doug does this thing with my voice where he makes me sound kind of Scandinavian, and I don't know what kind of filter he's putting into it, but Doug does a good job at protecting my identity, and sometimes he kind of does his thing to it. So from week to week, I don't know what I'm going to sound like. But yeah.
He's on the ocean, man. He needs to protect his identity. I'm already out there. People know my face. So yeah,
I didn't take my personal security nearly seriously enough when I started doing that. It's too late to start caring now. So.
So I grew up in Chicago though, and so I'm up there. I went to I looked at University of Wisconsin lacrosse to maybe go to when I got older. I was like, I want to maybe go here, Green Bay, all that good stuff. So I know it. Been to Minnesota, I know it well. Hey, that was my son. He needs me. He's been down here like 5 times. You see me like, oh, what's going on? I'm just so happy that you came, man. We're gonna do this again, I promise. Either in person or on here.
Yeah, and sure. I need to call you after this. I don't know if I can reach out on Signal but I gotta talk to you real quick. I can get your contact info from Doug here.
And Kaz has it too. thank you, everybody. Just understand that if you don't know how to find off Jawaggon or who Jordan is, you need to find that out now. How can they find you? What are all the platforms? Let's do that before we go.
All the platforms except for, Twitter, fuck that cesspool. But TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, it's OFF_JAWAGGON. Or you can just type in OJAW and that will usually bring it up too. So yeah, find me out there. A little bit of different content on everything, but most of the videos are all cross-posted. So whichever platform you prefer works for me.
All right, that's it, man. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be on. It was an honor to meet you in DC. And again, I look forward to working with you more in the future.